And this morning in politics, Donald Trump defending his decision to accept a phone call from the president of Taiwan. That's something that no U.S. president or president-elect has done in nearly 4 decades. This controversy, it's all brewing as the Trump team continues crisscrossing the country in what's being billed a thank you tour. ABC's David Wright is at Trump Tower for us this morning with the very latest on the transition. Hi, David.
Hi, Paula. Beijing this morning said it has lodged solemn representations to the U.S. over that call. And Trump is now the first U.S. leader to speak with the Taiwanese president since Jimmy Carter. It has the makings of a diplomatic incident, and it's impossible to say right now whether this was a rookie mistake or a deliberate provocation.
China is ripping us off. You know who's getting the oil? China. What China's doing to us is horrible.
On the campaign trail, Donald Trump made a habit of promising to be a thorn in China's side.
They are the greatest currency manipulators ever.
And now Trump is keeping that promise with a simple phone call. By accepting a congratulatory call from Taiwan's president, President-elect Trump broke 4 decades of U.S. diplomatic tradition. Ever since Nixon's visit to China in 1972, the U.S. has had a one-China policy, recognizing only one of the 2 countries that call themselves China. Overnight, he tweeted defensively that Taiwan's president called me. Top aides won't say if the fact that he took the call signals a change in U.S. policy.
He's well aware of what U.S. policy has been.
Trump has yet to announce a Secretary of State, the top diplomat whose job it would be to smooth over any bad feelings in Beijing. One of 7 cabinet seats yet to be filled. And Trump is now taking flack from a possible pick for VA Secretary Sarah Palin over the deal he struck with Carrier. Palin, an early endorser of Trump's, is going rogue in this op-ed, blasting the Carrier deal as crony capitalism and a hallmark of corruption and socialism. Now, Trump isn't showing any signs of changing his approach to job displacement, tweeting overnight about another Indiana company that's taking its jobs to Mexico, naming and shaming them. The company is called Rexner. Dan?
Can't remember a presidential transition that was this eventful. David Wright, thank you very much for your reporting this morning. Let's talk more about all of this now with ABC News political analyst Matthew Dowd. Let's start. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
Let's start with this thing in Taiwan. Many foreign policy experts are aghast that the president-elect did this. Some people, however, are applauding him. So, in your view, is Trump crazy or crazy like a fox?
Probably a little bit of both would be the definition of this. I was thinking about what sort of typifies this, and I thought of the movie Rush Hour. His supporters and his staff are acting like he's Jackie Chan, knows exactly what he's doing in all this. Everybody else thinks he's Chris Tucker, stumbling through this and maybe finds a success in the middle of this. I think it's problematic for 2 reasons.
I hope our viewers have seen Rush Hour, by the way.
For 3 of them. There's 3 Rush Hours, so you better have saw one. To me, it's problematic for 2 reasons. One is if he did this unintentionally, obviously that's a big rookie mistake, and he needs to figure that out if he didn't understand what our policy has been towards China. But 2, if he did this intentionally, but he did it without a Far East policy in place to explain what the context of this, and a staff in place that actually could explain to the public why you were doing this, what's the outcome of this, and what's the real strategy of this. My guess is this was Donald Trump doing something viscerally, took a call from a leader, and now is trying to figure out how, in the aftermath of that, to explain it.
So some of the other phone calls he's had with foreign leaders have raised some eyebrows. Just a couple of examples here. He praised the president of Kazakhstan, even though that president is really a dictator. He invited the president of the Philippines to Washington, even though there's been a lot of howling about massive human rights abuses in Philippines in the last year or so. So what do you think overall is going on here? And could it be good that he's just shaking things up?
Well, I think, one, his supporters think it's really good. Getting in a fight with China, I think, is a good thing for most of his supporters in this. I think it does demonstrate he probably needs to get a Secretary of State nominee on the board pretty quickly. But one thing we learned in the campaign, and that we're now learning him as president, he didn't play by the rules in the campaign. He's not going to play by the rules of diplomacy and international relations. He's just not going to do it.
Very quickly before we run here, Sarah Palin, did she just cost herself a cabinet post?
My guess is that was already decided before, and then she released the statement. But one thing, I think she's right, actually. This is a case of rewarding a specific company with it. So in this case, from conservative Republican policy, she's right. It's anathema to them that Donald Trump did this.
Matt Dowd, thank you. Appreciate it. And the people from Rush Hour, thank you as well. A quick programming note here. ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos is going to go one-on-one with the Vice President-elect Mike Pence tomorrow morning on This Week right here on ABC. Thanks again, Matt.